When you run a business, it is inevitable that you are going to come into situations in which a customer is upset about something regarding your business. And they're not always going to express that to you in a way that is cool and calm and collected and professional. Sometimes they're going to complain pretty loudly about it. They may yell at you. They may curse, swear at you, use obscenities, threaten you. They may publish unflattering things about you and or your business, and you need to be able to handle situations like that when they arise. And so I'm going to take you through a situation in which I had to deal with this recently on eBay, in which a buyer was very upset about an item that they received from me. This person is yelling at me over messaging, and then also immediately left a negative feedback for me after our interaction. So I want to take you through these steps and that I use to handle this situation, and hopefully it could be helpful to you. And it's also very important, even if you're very good at customer service, that you stick around to see how eBay improperly handled matters regarding the negative feedback, and so you know what to say if you ever have to kind of deal with this situation with eBay customer service. You can actually refer back to this video because I'm going to take you through exactly what to do and exactly what to say. But before we get there, let me start with the item. It's this one here. It may look familiar to you. It's the vintage 1980 Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back poster. It's one of the many posters that I sourced at the barn in the middle of nowhere. That video is about a few months back at this point. Go check it out if you didn't see it. There are a lot of great posters there. Lots of great Star Wars posters. Some had variable degrees of damage to it. Little pinholes in the corners, little pieces of tape sometimes. Could be little tears, little nicks, chips, those sorts of things. Little indentations, creases. And whenever I notice those types of things, I try to disclose that. And sometimes, though, I will make a mistake. And in this case, I made a mistake. So let me take you through the actual message here. So, and then you'll see what the mistake was. It says, so I just got back from my vacation. Now, just to stop there, the reason why someone would start off their message like that, there's two reasons. One is to let you know why they didn't get back to you immediately, like as soon as the item was delivered, why there was a few days delay. And number two, to convey to you that, hey, listen, I just got back from a fun vacation, and now your poster or your item that you sent me is causing me stress the moment I get back. So it's a way to kind of passive aggressively convey some anger there. But don't worry, there's plenty of overt anger in this email or this message as well. This says, and the poster isn't even worth a dime. Now, that's not literally true. I have it relisted already with all of the issues that this person raised, fully disclosed. Now, and there's already like 4 or 5 watchers on it, so I'm sure it's going to sell for pretty close to what this one sold for. But you have to remember that when someone's upset, they're going to engage in hyperbole. They're going to make extreme statements to convey how upset they are. But here's the actual problem. And this part is true. It says it has tape in the edges, means to say on the edges, and was trimmed and not evenly at that! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. So there's your yelling. The shiny on the edges are the tape. So another exclamation point. So this is what the person's talking about. If you look up close, you could see there on the left edge of the poster, there is a thin area of shine to it. And I just completely missed it, but that is the tape right there. And if you do look at it closely, you could see that there actually is some uneven trimming. I never even thought to actually look to pay attention to it being trimmed or not. But that is now something, live and learn from these types of experiences, that now I am looking over every poster because I still have a lot left that I'm listing for these types of things. But completely missed it. My fault, my bad. And so, I'm perfectly willing in this type of situation, if I make the mistake, to take the free return. And I'll deal with that a little bit more in a moment here. But it says, attached are pictures for your viewing pleasure, so sprinkle in a little bit of sarcasm there with an exclamation point as well. And then please issue a full refund and the cost of postage of you want this back. So that's obviously meant to say if you want this back. And then just to throw that last little punch or that last little kick at the end, complete junk with the exclamation point. So bam, there's that little zinger to just end it off. So you have to remember, this person is, understandably upset. Are they, going a little overboard with it? I mean, I would say so, but I don't know how much did this person really, really want this item? How much were they looking forward to it? And I really disappointed them when they get it. I mean, that's entirely possible. So I get that they're angry, but again, we have to deal with the situation, as it is. So, person's upset. How do you respond to this type of message? Well, no matter how the person communicates to you that they're upset about something with your business, I always suggest that you start off the response message this way, which is, as you can see right here, I wrote, "I'm sorry you are not satisfied with your purchase." That's simple. Just say that. That's all you have to say. It's customer service 101. Just convey that you feel bad about what happened. Now, in this situation, I kept things short and sweet because what I realize is that this person is emotionally raw right now. They're basically unloading everything, all their frustrations about it right onto the keyboard at me. And if I'm going to try to respond by giving some type of excuse, all that's going to happen in that situation is I'm going to be hit back with a barrage of insults. So I'm not going to set myself up for that. I'm just going to stick with the facts. So what are the facts? You will need to open a formal return with eBay for a refund, which you will receive after you ship it back. And that's the facts. That is the actual process for how eBay handles this situation. Then I just ended off with a thank you. That's it. Now, even though I did that and tried to just, keep it as factual as possible, be as polite as possible, that was not good enough for the buyer, who was still upset and then wrote, "Serious? ? You sell junk and you want me to jump through hoops? ? ! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point." Now, what is the person referring to when they say jump through hoops? Well, it gets back to what I said. What's the process? That's the actual process. See, what that person wants, and we have to get back to the bottom of their initial message, they just want me right here, just based on this message, to just send them a full refund and the cost of the postage. That is a big no-no as a seller. Do not do that. The reason why is because if you do that, you now have absolutely no way to then get your item back. You have no leverage at all. The leverage you have by not giving that full refund immediately is the person at least has to send the item back so you could try to recoup some of your loss in this situation, which is exactly what I'm doing, because to fast forward, I do actually have the item back. However, the person did decide to wait several days before sending it back to me after leaving a negative feedback for me, which I don't have here on this computer, but the negative feedback pretty much said exactly this. This person sells junk, sells things not in good condition, don't buy from, like that kind of stuff. So it's much the same of what you see here. Now, I only wrote back one other thing, and this was the last message. I just said, that's the official process when you want a return and refund on eBay. And that's exactly right. The person did not respond to that, and then went and proceeded and opened up a case, and basically, like I said, after a few days, sent me the item back. Now, a couple things I want to just step back for a second before we move on from here and talk about what happened with the negative feedback situation is, number one, especially when you get this second message right here, like you may be able to withstand the giving an emotional response back to the first one. And by the way, you could cookie cut right there and just save exactly, just type out exactly what I wrote there. If you ever have a situation like this, this is a very, very simple, easy way to respond that will get you out of further trouble. And what I mean by that is that when you're dealing with eBay in the future, you have to keep in mind that they're going to look back at your prior interactions. And if you want to be treated professionally, and if you want them to side with you on things, you have to make sure that you are showing that you are interacting with customers in a professional way. They want to see that. It does build up good political capital with them. They will tell you that over the phone, that they're very happy that you dealt with the customer in a professional way, even though they're upset. They want to see that. They want to see that you're handling things in this manner. The other thing to keep in mind before you respond to somebody is not only how eBay is going to look at it, but remember, in this day and age with social media, you have no idea where what you write is going to go. Hey, it may wind up on a YouTube video like this. How do you know that the person doesn't run a YouTube channel and then just trashes your business right onto YouTube? Or they may cut and paste it and put it onto Facebook, trash your business there, trash it on Instagram. All sorts of things can happen. And if you're responding back by yelling and screaming, it's going to look way worse for you as the business owner than it's going to look as the buyer who's upset. Because people are going to relate more to the buyer. They're not going to really relate to you as the business. And they're going to want to see that they're going to think to themselves, hey, what happens if I have an issue? If you yell back at the person and call them a loser or an idiot, or, hey, this is a response I've seen people make sometimes. They'll say, hey, you could have clearly seen for yourself that there was tape on there and that it was trimmed. I've seen people respond things like that. You can't respond that way. Hey, just keep it professional. So those are two things to keep in mind when you are responding. How eBay is going to think about it and what could happen from what the buyer does with your information that you write after you write it. So there's that. And then I wanted to talk to you also about my justification for the free returns real quickly. I've done a video on this before, but free returns, the reason why I offer that, and it's really helpful actually, as you'll see going forwards when dealing with negative feedback, is that if you offer free returns, and I'll actually show you this right in the seller protection policy, starting June 1st, 2018, when you offer free returns, you'll have greater control to manage your business, and you could decide to issue partial refunds to buyers if they send you something back that's damaged, not in the state that you had originally sent it to them in. But the point of this video I want to bring out is this part here. Plus, will protect your reputation from any negative feedback. So that's very important. Remember, this person left a negative feedback for me. And they left it up, by the way, for days before actually sending the poster back to me. And you can't get the negative feedback removed until the return is actually closed. So it is going to sit there for a while until you actually get that item back. Then when you refund the money, you are supposed to be able to get that negative feedback removed that day. Now, that didn't happen in this situation, and this is where eBay screwed up. And I'm going to take you through that in just a few moments. But just backtracking onto free returns, this is one of the reasons that I offer it, is it does give me protection in these situations. And you could see here, this is one of the articles that came out on e-commerce bites, eBay to seller, offer free returns to counter lying buyers. And this situation, this person did not offer free returns, and the person left them a negative feedback. And you could see eBay's response here was the person says, I called to have this feedback removed and was told that even though I accepted the return, the whole feedback could not be removed because half the statement was the buyer's perception. I was also told that if I offered free returns, it would have been automatically removed. So this person did not offer free returns. Now, there's a whole argument about free returns. Some people adamantly refuse to do it. I'm not telling you have to do it. I'm just telling you this is one advantage to doing it. For me, for my business, for dealing primarily in vintage and collectibles where I have a very low return rate, it really does make sense for me. It adds consumer confidence to the buyer that they know that they are going to get what they see, what is actually described. And if not, if there is a mistake, if I mess up, then I'm willing to eat the cost of the return. So that's number one. And number two, I do think that it does keep the seller, so myself, on my toes more to make sure that when I am listing things, that I'm taking good photos, that I am describing things accurately, because I don't want to have to deal with a return. And after all, I do want my customers to be happy with the items they receive. I don't want an outcome like this. I mean, this was ultimately my fault. I messed this up. I mean, we get on here a lot of times and I do it too, of course, is I want to share with you my successes and things that I did well with regards to a particular sale or something like that. But again, we also have to talk about the times where we make mistakes, and we mess up. So ultimately it does, like I said, come back to me on this. So moving forwards from this part right here, you could see I then issued the refund once I got the poster back. There was no problem with it. It wasn't in a state that was different from how I had sent it out. And so you could see there, right there, sent the refund. So that's on November 15th. Now, right now it is November 25th. It's technically, as you could see, 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm making this video. It's technically actually Monday. But I had offered this refund on a Friday. And so I had this negative feedback that was still sitting there. And you could see, here's my feedback right now. It doesn't have the negative on there, but it did. And I contacted eBay on Saturday or Sunday, and I said, hey, what's going on? I refunded the item. I did everything I'm supposed to do according to the seller protections. Here it says that it's supposed to be taken off, that you're going to take care of it. So what's going on? Why do I still have this negative feedback sitting there? And the customer service representative said to me, well, here's basically how it works, is that after you close the return, you then have to wait during the week in which the feedback will be automatically removed by our automated process, and it could take up to a week. Now, I never heard that before. Doesn't say that in here. Didn't seem to make much sense. It should be that there should be an automatic process in place that once you close it, that it comes off if you're offering free returns. I mean, that's just how it should work. Once it closed, boom, it goes right off. Or at least if it didn't come off, you could call and just get it manually removed. So the person said, well, we can't manually remove the feedback. And my response to that was, well, actually, I know that you can manually remove negative feedback in certain situations. And the person said to me, well, we can, but not in this situation. We could only remove it if it's outside of this, free return process. If it's a free return negative feedback, then you have to wait for it to automatically come down. So I said, okay, so you're telling me that by next Saturday that this should be automatically removed. Person says, yep. So I check back every day, look at my feedback, and there's still a negative, still a negative, still a negative. And by the way, this is in Q4 when you're trying to make sales. And yes, a lot of people will overlook the one negative, but it's a recent one. It's hanging out near the top, and it is enough. There are some buyers out there that they will only deal with people who are 100% positive feedback, and they don't want to deal with any type of negative. So I feel that it still does hurt you to some degree, even if you still do have a lot of positives. Eventually, yes, it'll get drowned out. But when it's raw like that, especially during Q4, it's not the kind of thing that you really want hanging around. And this person, the feedback was all caps negative, exclamation points, all this kind of stuff, just like you saw, like I said, back in this messages section over here. So I call back on Saturday. Always asked to speak to the person from the feedback department, and that's who I spoke to. By the way, initially, this was not a regular customer service representative. This was someone from the feedback department telling me this. So I talked to the person just a couple of days ago on Saturday, and the person says, oh, yep, I'm sorry. I see exactly what happened. I could definitely go in there and remove this for you. That's still on there. I said, wait a minute. I was just told that it can't be removed. I had to wait for it to be automatically removed. And I explained everything that I just told you. And the person said, that is totally false. That is not correct in any way. And this is one of the main frustrations that sellers have with eBay. As much as I love eBay and make a lot of money on eBay, and I wouldn't be doing this YouTube channel if it wasn't for eBay. But there's too often an inconsistency in terms of explaining the policy to sellers, and likely often to buyers, that just shouldn't happen. I mean, I'm talking with the feedback department about a feedback policy that has been in place since June of 2018. It's November 2019. Oh my goodness. So, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. So I, said, by the way, I told the person, I said, hey, could you go back and just look in the logs of exactly who I spoke to last week? And the person laughed actually and said, yeah, I see the person actually incorrectly documented everything you just told me. She said, totally wrong. And the way they phrased it was that it's now a coaching opportunity for the person that they're going to. Because I said, could you go and just re-instruct this person and just let them know that what they're telling people is totally false? And they said, yes, we will do that. And so all credit to the second person that I spoke to from eBay's feedback department in handling this in a correct way. So if you deal with this situation, if you get someone yelling and screaming at you, hopefully this video gave you some tips on how to navigate through that and just stay professional, keep the emotions out of it, and just respond with the facts. And just know, if you offer free returns, that this is a benefit that you do have and you can claim that earlier. I mean, I sat there for a full, actually a week plus, because the person took, and there's nothing you could do about that beginning part. When that person doesn't send the poster back for 3 days, there's nothing you could do. You're stuck. But usually the items will get back pretty quick. And then what's supposed to happen is that day, and I confirm this, once it is closed, as soon as you offer that refund, that's it. It's closed. There's no, I confirmed with this person. I said, do I have to then wait 24 to 48 hours for it to process or something like that? They said no. They said as soon as it closes, it's closed and you are eligible for that feedback to be removed. Now you have to call to have that happen. It's not automatically going to fall off. So that part was also false. It doesn't just come off. You do have to call and ask for it to be manually removed. If you call and they tell you that it cannot be manually removed, please refer them back to this video in which they could get confirmation that it actually does get removed, or you could just call back and talk to another customer service person or ask to speak to a supervisor, because that is the actual policy. That is how it's supposed to work. So I hope this video is helpful for you in giving you some insights. Actually, what I should really just tell you, what I really was doing here is that, because, I really don't get a lot of negative feedback. So I saw that this seller protection policy was up here, and I just decided to send the person the poster that way just to test this whole thing out for you, so I could let you know. I'm just kidding around. I really did mess up. I really messed up. It's on me, and I'm going to make sure I definitely check the posters over more thoroughly. But I hope you liked the video. If so, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. You can see there we're at 8.99. We're on the verge of 9,000 subscribers. I've got a video that is coming up on Wednesday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon special time. I'm taking a day off of work to interview no other than Steve Rakin Profits. The interview is taking place here Wednesday. Let's see, that's going to be the 27th, I think. And again, at noon, make sure you come by. There's going to be 2 giveaways that take place if we get to that 9,000 mark, which we should. We just have 10 or less to go. And make sure you pass the channel on to others if you find this information helpful. Come by to the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and come to my Instagram channel at prime_time_treasure. The links to all those things are down in the description section. I'll see you at the next video, everyone. Take care.